everybody, and today I just want to film something that's a little bit chatty and easy for me to film. Let's talk about eyeshadow palettes, particularly 5 eyeshadow palettes that stay strong and are still there in my wish list. Yeah, I don't own them, but I really want to. Palettes that haunt my dreams. I still think about them all the time, but for one reason or two, I right now cannot purchase them, all of them, or just grabbing one palette right now to me is like a huge deal because I've been through a lot and I cannot hoard more palettes into my collection. But let's talk about what's special about those palettes that I keep thinking about them. The first one, this is the most expensive one. Can you guess what brand it is from? Yep, Pat McGrath Labs. I think everyone out there who knows about makeup at one point has wanted a Pat McGrath palette because it's just a niche product, but it costs $128, so that's a hefty of a price tag. I cannot afford one, to be honest. If I save money for a few months, I think I could, but like right away I cannot afford one. But the one, I think she has a lot of palettes in her life. You know, the 10-pan one, like the iconic layout of a palette. But the one that I am the most intrigued about is the third one. It's called Subversive. I'm more of a mid-tone, lighter eyeshadow look, if you know me, but it wouldn't hurt if sometime I go for something extra smoky and dark and deep. And that palette with the special shade called Bliss Amethyst, that purple and blue duochrome thing. And I've heard so many good things about her special formula. And in general, it's a pink and purple palette, but I also think the Gigabyte, the yellow one, I think it's more of a dusty, dirty yellow. I wouldn't say it's gold, but that yellow. Look at my look today. Yellow is not my favorite color, but that particular yellow is really interesting. Overall, that palette is so unique, and when I look at the entire line, like I think she had like 10 palettes like that. That only one is really calling my name. The next palette is from an indie brand, but I think this indie brand is a little bit not mainstream or like unspoken, for Art Chic Cosmetics. And the palette that I want to talk about is called Edgar Allan Poe Raven palette. Yes, it is inspired by a poem called Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Overall, the color story is somewhat similar to the Pat McGrath ones that I mentioned. It's fuchsia, it's pink, throw in a couple of neutrals and purple. But I think I lack of depth in my collection right now when it comes to purple. I own a lot of purples in my collection. It's my favorite color to do makeup with, but somehow I cannot go too heavy-handed with purple because I am intimidated by the hassle and the mess it would cause to me if I go too hammered with it. But if I could own that palette, it would provide me a new outlook of how deep and rich you can go with purple without making it too messy. I hope so, because something about the range of the palette is quite thoughtful. Like it goes from lighter to deeper, but the gradient is really great and evenly spread out. So maybe if you go with something deeper, you have lighter shades to blend out or to pair with. If I'm not mistaken, in that palette there's a greenish flip to blue purple duochrome. Oh my god, it's so beautiful, it's so unique. And you know, you could trust an indie brand for their eyeshadow quality for most of the times, because I think that's just their strong suit. And I don't think that palette is very costly. Okay, here's a side note. I am really intrigued by the concept, the idea behind the palette, because I discovered Edgar Allan Poe and his style of literature, which is very depressing and gloomy in general. Like, if you don't want to be more depressed, don't ever read Edgar Allan Poe and Charles Bukowski. Like, you're gonna hit the rock bottom. But it is life. Sometimes you go through something like that and you discover such a unique thing in your life, and you realize, even though this is not the most funny and glorious, it still means something special. And more affordable brands, the next one is ColourPop, and the palette is a mood. It's a 30 pan eyeshadow palette, which is a lot, but the layout, the way that they arrange the palette is so cool. It's mostly monochromatic for each row. Yeah, specifically the purple row, but I believe there's a khaki green and then the more dark teal row, and then the rest is like neutral and pink. When I look at that palette, I can think of so many beautiful looks that you can pair. You can look at the quad, you know, you can look at like some random quad in the palette and come up with a look right away. Like that's unique. Like ColourPop releases palettes a lot, and it's just hard to find a unique piece of gray curation in their line right now when it comes to like eyeshadow palettes in general, from smaller ones to bigger ones. But that particular palette is, I think, the best one in a white for them. Although the undertone of every shade is leaning toward the earthy and mustardy and grungy side. They are not like bright or anything, but I think it's still very versatile. You can do neutral look, you can do colorful look, you can do purple look. Yeah, to me purple is like a genre of look. It's just me. And I think it's gonna be a great deal to own a bigger palette like that. You can look at it and just pick out the combination that you want. A fourth one, I believe not many of you would have heard of this brand. It's from, I believe, Taiwan, and the brand is Judy Doll. The palette that I want to mention is Vincent Whitfield. It is inspired by a painting. I think it's a famous painting from Vincent van Gogh. Its name is Whitfield with Cypresses. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Cypresses. Anyway, it's such a beautiful painting, and oh my god, the packaging, like the cover of that palette and the color story is pure spring to me. I don't know, just imagine, it's springtime, you you are in that kind of garden and everything is blooming. There's a lot of lilac color. The weather isn't like bright or hot or anything. It's a little bit in a cloudy but cooling and calming side. It's everything I want to do every single time of the year. Like dive myself into nature and really be me. Like not bothering by any other artificial objects or beings around me. Don't care about anyone because dealing with people is so tired, especially with the ones you care about. It could be tiring, but I just want to be me for a while, and that's what I imagine if I can be in that kind of garden, that kind of wheat field. The color story represents perfectly the idea of the painting, I believe. Is also more on the grungy side. Recently I've been into like a more earthy and deeper color story like that. And yeah, it has some neutral, it has some lilac, it has some lavender and a little bit of blue, khaki throw in. Something about purple and khaki, I have never thought that they would go well together, but maybe it's a thing to experiment in the future. Think about Asian beauty brands, they kind of have a take on the glittery, very sparkling and shimmering shade. Yeah, it's very sheer, but like it is not too chunky of a glitter that you would be so afraid to use. Yeah, it's very smooth and reflective. Like I love that kind of shimmering glittery formula. Finally, I have a lot more in my wish list I want to talk about, but this one stands out because how precise and well tailored it is. It has 6 shades, but everything about it is perfect. It's from Kaleidos Makeup, and the palette is Lunar Lavender. Can you see the theme in here? 5 palettes. Every single one of them has some sort of purple in it. And this is no exclusion because beside 2 neutrals, 1 lighter and 1 deeper, the rest are neon purples. Like, so it's very divergent from the 4th that I mentioned that has some more richer, deeper, like earthy, grungy tones purple. These are neon purples. And the vibrancy of those colors, it's just perfect. I don't know, something about, like I don't look at the 2 neutral a lot. Even the 4 shades of purple, I would think, oh my god, this looks so cohesive. Everything is good together, I can already tell. The 2 dual chromes, the one called Moonproof, it's just my dream come true. Right now I can imagine that shade, and I think it would be very competitive to the Bliss Amethyst in the Pathmograph palettes. Like, it could be that good. And once again, 6 shades, but the way that they select the 6 shades together could bring you so many inspiration. Like, I feel that palette, to be honest. I think it's a little bit more affordable, but with 6 shades, I think it's a good option. It might be my best option right now. If I could purchase one right now immediately, I would think, oh my god, like it must be the Kaleidos one. It's justifiable in the way that, first of all, the Pathmograph one is too expensive. The For Architect ones is pretty hard to get because it's indie brand and the shipping is gonna be a pain in the neck. The ColourPop one, it's too many shades. Like, I need that road of purple and khaki and blue, but the rest is okay. Like, I have neutrals in my collection. The Judy doll, I have not heard a lot of reviews about it, or anyone to confirm the quality of the eyeshadows. I am a little bit wary about that palette, but Kaleidos, like, must be one of the best brand out there in terms of doing eyeshadow, right? Okay, that is everything I want to say about 5 outstanding palettes on my wish list right now, although I have like another 100 ones like saved to my list, and I have no particular date to grab all of them because who needs that many palettes? But it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't damage me in any inch to lusting after them. Like, sometimes thinking about them is good, and contemplate that I don't need that many purple eyeshadows because I can't replicate or duplicate any look using what I own. Not entirely specific to be that similar, but close enough. So I think that is the premise of the wish list, right? Once again, I'm Cloudy, and hopefully we see each other again. Bye!